Welcome back to another edition of Flobo Saw It on Netflix. And that's the show where we go deep into the library of Netflix and just to see what's cool and what's trending and what's hot and what's not and all that jazz. And well, a couple weeks ago, I put the sound out, ring the alarm. It's June, which means it's my birthday month. I wanted everyone, I didn't care how we've met, to come together, talk about good, fresh content. And well, I dragged my guests along with me today. Today we're talking about the anime series Trese and the after show Trese After Dark. But as I had to give my guest his introduction, he is a film scholar and a writer and doing so many different things for people of the AAPI communities. Please welcome Mr. Oliver Evangelista. How's it going, sir?
Yo, what's up, Flobo? Thanks for having me back with you, man. It's good to be here.
I was a little afraid that you were going to come through. I thought you were going to bail or just find other reasons to say I'm not going to do your show.
Great.
So I want to give a shout out to everyone watching live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Twitch. Your contributions make this a reality. If you guys haven't already, make sure you check out our Patreon. But question I have for you, man, it's Trese. It basically flooded over my Netflix recommendations. You had a chance to go through the series so far. What do you think about it?
We loved it. I loved it. I say we because it's me and my wife. You know, we have to watch some things together, and this had to be one of them because she was actually born and raised in the Philippines. So,
okay.
Yeah, dude, I loved it. It was such a cool thing to just see yourself. I mean, to see these stories on the screen, which these stories that have haunted us since childhood. Because even though I grew up here in the States, I would still get references to like Aswang and Manananggal and stuff like that when I was a kid. So, and the white lady in the car on Boleta Drive, I knew, yeah, that was something that just always freaked me out, driving through a dark place. Yeah.
What's funny about that is that the first time I heard about Aswang was from you. I think you went to a cookout. This is years ago. You went to a cookout and they had a pig that was cut in half. And then you called it like a mala aswang or something like that. Like it was like a half of an aswang. And I was like, what is that? And he goes, well, in the Philippines, it's not what it was. So when I actually saw that in the show, I was like, I know some stuff. And that's why I want to ask you, as someone that's for Filipino descent, I'm on the outside, but this was a whole new world I have never heard of. And let's talk about like your opinions about bringing these classic eras of folklore to a brand new audience.
Wow, it's man, it's so different than like seeing a show like Grimm or like Buffy, where like you are familiar with it, or like I'm familiar with it because from growing up here, and I would pretty much anyone in the world would be familiar with like the European folk tales. But I think it's really cool that people have actually found it interesting, and people are watching it who didn't grow up with the mythologies. So it shows that it translates and it relates, and it's cool. It's great. I'm really happy that people.
It looks like with the short release, it's already getting views and written up all worldwide. IMDb gives it 7.6, and Rotten Tomatoes gives it about 77%.
Cool.
But I think that will definitely change over time. Also to say that like most Fast and Furious movies get like 50%, so that's it's trending pretty high.
That's pretty harsh. Man.
Well, yeah, I know, right? That's what people have their own little thing going on. So the actual anime series is actually based on the graphic novel, which I actually have a copy of, which is pretty cool because you can see some of the character designs did make the final version of the piece, co-created by your cousin, Budget Tan. And so I wanted to know, like when we first got this book 10 years ago, when I got this book 10 years ago, the book's been out about 15, I think. What's been your experience watching this idea go from the ideation stage to the graphic novel to now seeing it on an international platform like Netflix?
Oh man, it's been fantastic, dude. I know people say these things all the time, but yeah, man, I couldn't really do mean it. That Budget is like one of those guys who really deserves this type of success. Him and Kajo, they came up with it back in 2005 and pushed it out, and just seeing it slowly grow. But it was an instant hit. I felt like because I was there in Manila when it happened, when the first book came out. I was living there, and just seeing the response to it, it would sell out like really quickly, and it just gained a following. And I think it was like 5 wait, this is about 6 years ago. I was in Manila, and I went to the there's like a Comic-Con there. Comic-Con was spelled with a K, and because there's no C in the Tagalog alphabet. So
I had no idea.
yeah. So I went to it, and Budget was there doing his signings and stuff, and it was cool to see fans there, and people dressed up as Trese, people dressed up as the Kambal already, and just a comic book. Nobody knew anything about it being produced, or I don't even know if that deal was there yet, but it's been really cool to see the journey and see the success for them, because two really good guys, two strong comic book geeks, man. I just that's all that guy does, man. You should see his collection. It's just this huge, just all just yeah. So he's been doing it for a long time. He's been writing comic books forever, ever since he was, I want to say high school or before that. So
yeah,
just so it's been really cool. It's been really interesting to see it progress in that fashion, and then to see all these things happen with it, and all the press it's getting now and exposure. It's just yeah, man, they really did it right, I would say.
Yeah, further proof to keep on doing what you're doing. It's 6 episodes, I guess. At least part 1. Hopefully, there's a part 2, right? The way it's going, and you and I were saying this offline many times, that in a 6-episode anime series, it packs in a lot. Now, animes tend to do that in general because it tends to be a little bit of density in your storytelling, but it is something that I felt needed to be digested. It's something you can binge, but I don't quite recommend it with this case. What was your experience when watching the first season of Trese?
I agree. Binging it was a little difficult. We watched the first 2 in the same night, then we watched the third one another night, and then we watched 4 through 6, and then after that, and just because we couldn't stop watching once we got there. Once you get to that point, and then it's like, oh, okay, cool, where the story all starts connecting. Oh, excuse me. For the episodes, it's great. It's I think watching it and not binging it was smart on your part, because I could say there are parts there, especially in the first episode, they really dump a lot on you if you're not familiar with the mythologies, and so it's like, okay, there's a lot to process, a lot to think about, and then but when you move on and you realize, okay, the story really just is about these specific characters, without giving it all away, but it really is about Trese and her father and the what's that guy's name? Sorry, the big dude with the starts with the T.
The captain, Cap G.
Oh yeah, Cap G, and sorry, the guy who gets resurrected. Was it Top?
Yeah.
Gosh.
I had it here.
I feel like an idiot now.
No, don't feel bad, man. There's so many words of taking consequence. Let me get shout out to JLJ Meters watching it now. Good afternoon. How's it going? Also says, nice to hear that some hard workers are getting there too. I know the feeling, always making sure that we put our nose to the grindstone. Did you have a favorite character? Do you rank them at all? Or they kind of was like more of the experience of the show itself?
Oh man, it was such a fun show. And I really enjoyed trying to figure out who Lou Diamond Phillips was, because I knew he was in the cast, and I was just like, who is he? Who's the character? And then I kind of guessed like maybe it's Santa Maria, because he's got this really cool, almost like Spanish, a little Spanish in there. So I was thinking like, oh, okay, so that, and then it ends up being him. So I thought that was well played. I thought it seemed like that was a fun villain to watch, especially cutting flesh off and having people eat it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, but for good guys, it's definitely Trese. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, she went through some stuff, man. Got a sister in her hand. Her dad has a whole new retcon, like an season 5. She's been put through the ringer. Personally, with Seth Down was my favorite. Straight up, like a pocket demon that like breathes fire, bro. Like, are you kidding me? Yeah. What I'm saying, Sleep. I'm just like, I can imagine having that. Like, I don't feel like waiting online right now. The flip phone or whatever. Yeah. But cool. Yeah, I think that those are the ones that I would totally buy the merchandise off of. So I'm a Trese exactly. The sixth born of the sixth born. So one thing I realized about entertainment, especially when it comes to anime, as the the genre had matured, the definitions are changing and shifting what anime is, right? For there was a time where it was like strictly from Japan, like from the 80s, it was an anime. But then we see things like Avatar or Last Airbender that has a little bit of elements of that, Legend of Korra. This one is actually drawn in Singapore and in Korea, but it has elements of Filipino culture. In your opinion, is it considered an anime, even though it is part of the anime division of Netflix, or there's some nuance to that?
Yeah, I'm confused, man. I mean, I'm just as confused as anybody else out there.
Right.
From what I see with my eyes, it's just like it just depends on the style of art, and to define it as anime, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if I were to define it, I mean, I guess you could say it. You could say it is. Yeah, I just Filipino animation series, animated series, anime. I don't know. Yeah.
So I mean, so strictly right now, you would say yes. Filipino anime.
Yeah, definitely possible.
Again, as somebody who's pretty much learned about the culture secondhand, or I can actually do friends and friends of friends, it feels like even within the purview of the embracing of AAPI stories and the Pan-Asian stories, that even Filipino stories doesn't tend to be embraced as readily as Hollywood. I'm not trying to ask you for all the answers, but do you have a theory as to why that may be?
Oof, man. I'd say possibly demographics in the United States. You know, not a huge presence. I mean, sorry, not I shouldn't say not a huge presence. I mean, it's like, you know, within the Asian community, yeah, there are a lot of Filipinos, but still, I think Asians still make up I think it's what, 4 or 5% of the population. So inside the U.S., so I could see that as just one of those struggles of Hollywood trying to compute numbers and whatnot. But I think, yeah, globally they can see that there is a presence now, and people are watching this, and so yeah, man, I think it's cool that they can take the chance here and hopefully break some boundaries and get some more stories out.
Absolutely. And that takes us over to Trese After Dark, the after show, if you will, the capstone of the after season 1 of Trese. And I think that was kind of the underlying theme there, that there are stories, there are individuals that work really hard to bring these kind of tales to life, and it totally works. This from your experience, just overall, the idea of having, we're talking about this on Sunday too, the idea of having an after show for a show must be a vote of confidence from Netflix. They may have some faith into what they want to bring on their entertainment side, but like, just your opinion, your thoughts on watching Trese After Dark?
It was great. It was great. I think it was a really cool opportunity for people to see who's behind the scenes. These people who have been working on it. Like Tanya said, that she was working on it for forever, for more than 10 years before they even got the deal. So yeah, really cool to see the people, to see the writers, because I didn't know who was on the team out there who was working on it, and so it's cool to see them and their passion for it, and yeah, and I think it's great for the Filipino community to also see these faces as well, right? Because I feel like it's easy to say like, oh, Netflix created it, so it's probably like not even Filipino people writing and, you know, doing these things and creating the show, and it's great to like put these faces out there and say like, hey, like we can do it too, you know. So yeah.
By the way, that production design, whew, it was like, that's a dope little lounge club.
It was. It really was. Dude.
It was mature.
Like, man, yeah.
So the question I always ask someone when they check something out on Netflix is, they say you're at a party and you're like, hey, have you seen Trese After Dark? What do you think would be the hook that you would use to get them to check it out, if you recommend it?
Oh, geez. So I guess what I tell people now, it's an animated series about Filipino mythology, and there is a female detective who has like a supernatural connection and even powers, and yeah, almost like and then, you know, then I have to say like, oh, it's kind of like Grimm, you know. It's kind of like Buffy, so to kind of give people a reference.
I'm kind of the same boat. Like in my notes, I have imagine if Constantine was Filipino, and I thought that was pretty sick.
Oh.
Like, I was a Constantine fan, also at NBC.
Oh, cool.
I think it aired after Grimm on Fridays or whatever.
Right on.
That idea, just like I acknowledge things exist, but I'm kind of jaded about it already because I lived around it all the time.
Yeah, that's great, man. That'd be great, man. I'd love it for you to meet Budget, because like I think that's one of the things he said about creating Trese, right? The inspiration for it was Batman and Constantine.
Yeah, Hellraiser. If you guys haven't checked it out,
yeah,
I also want to
that's
say
amazing.
that,
I love that story too.
oh yeah. The thing is I like about Constantine is that besides the whole like accent and the trench coats and all that stuff,
Yeah.
It's almost like even though he acts kind of like a certain way, there's still respect for it. You know what I mean? He doesn't go. He's like going anything blind. It's like no. This is a serious threat. I've done it before. I'm a professional. I think Trese has a lot of those traits as well.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
And
Yeah,
also when they give
she
her
doesn't chain
twins.
smoke. Oh, it's like
She should have the twins, by the way. It's our main character and then twins in the background. Check out the graphic novel if you haven't already. Yeah. Imagine you did.
Yeah, they're really fortunate, man, that this show came on, and because they're being published now here in the States, so it's great. Yeah.
So, question I have here before we get out of here, though. IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes have it about 7.6 and 77% respectively. Is that a fair rating? And if not, what would you give it?
Oh man, I mean, if I had to do it, it'd probably be like a 93 or 94. Yeah.
Okay. That's
just me. I'm really biased. Yeah.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
Put that on the VHS box art. I'm really biased. That's yeah, man. I recommend it. Definitely check it out. I think I'll give it more like an 8.5. 8.5. Again, there's some parts where I had to stop and like rewatch parts, which took me out a little bit. But that's really because I'm coming from a place of absolutely zero knowledge of the folklore. So it may be a little bit difficult on my end. Read it with subtitles. I prefer reading subtitles. It was kind of cool to see the incantations in Tagalog. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I enjoyed that part as well. I think I really respected that the fact that they added. They still kept a lot of the Tagalog slang in there, and like bossing was definitely in there. And then
I actually look it up before the show. I hope it's not a curse or anything. But so before we get out of here, man, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. Flobo on Netflix, Oliver. I mean, if anyone wanted to check you out online, I'm gonna keep pushing you launch something. Where people find you and your work, good sir.
Man, I would say right now just follow Budget, man. Follow what they're doing with Trese, Yeah. That's
promote yourself. Well, that guy over there is doing pretty well. Respect. This is Flobo on Netflix. We go deep dive into the Netflix catalog. You can listen to this either visually on that Facebook, or you can do the audio version on whatever your podcast streaming device. And if you remember the Boisterous Crew, that's our Patreon, patreon.com/FloboBoys. You get access to monthly comedy special reviews. But that does it for me. I'll be back next time. This is Flobo on Netflix.
Cool.